All right, I am going to go ahead and pin our next host, Isaac. All right. Welcome, Isaac. Isaac's going to say a few words before we hop into a short video. Isaac, we're so lucky to have you here from ReelAbilities. I would love it if you would give us a little explanation on what you do, what you're doing today. He's going to have a wonderful hosted conversation after we show a video. So, welcome, Isaac. So glad you're here.
Thank you so much, Greer. Excited to be here. Thank you all for being here and for taking the time, of course. Um, I am the CEO and co-founder of the ReelAbilities Film Festival. We are the leading disability film festival in the world and present great films that change perceptions on disability. Our new tagline is reframing disability, and we use cinema as a way to break stigmas, change perceptions, and put disability in the spotlight, which is so underrepresented. We tackle disabilities of every kind and include films about any kind of disability that you can imagine or can't imagine. And we present these films at our New York festival, which runs in April, and then share them around the country at satellite festivals throughout the year. We also bring our films both to the educational spaces. We just signed a great deal with the New York public school system to present our films in all schools as educational materials. Movies can be educational and not just entertainment, and mostly I think they are. And we also bring them to workplaces and have our workplace space. There's much more about ReelAbilities, but I'll share that for later. I think a great way to kind of see the quality of the work and the representation that we like to put out there is through this film that we're going to watch now. We're watching a really short movie, so don't worry, it's not going to, you don't blink, basically. And it's a film called Milky Pop Kid from a few years back that we showed at the festival. And it also talks internally about the film industry, which is something that we try to be leaders in terms of changing the industry. And I think it tackles all the issues that we come across and are aiming to change. So and hopefully this film also does it in a way when people see we show this film in a lot of workplaces, and especially October, of course, is Disability Employment Awareness Month. This film is one of our most popular ones because it really talks about authenticity within the film industry. So, without further ado, enjoy the Milky Pop Kid.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I'm not here for your amusement. I'm not here for your amusement. Hello? I feel like disabled people are severely underrepresented in film and television. As an actor, I feel like it's my job to hold a mirror up to the audience so that you, as an audience member, can see me. And disabled people have mirrors too.
I get asked to do these consultancy things all the time. And the really frustrating thing is you never get paid to do it. But I decided to do this one because I wanted to meet the Milky Pop Kid. Hi, it's Jules. I'm here.
Great. Come on up.
How do I get up there?
Ah, I'm so sorry.
Story of my life. No one ever thinks about access.
That's the sort of research I need to know. Stairs plus wheelchair. Not good. So, thank you for coming.
No worries.
Did the producers, they've filled you in with...
You've got a film, right? You want to do some research?
Yes, exactly right. So just to start with like a couple of questions that are, you know, pretty simple because, you know, we're getting to know each other. I don't want to go like too far into the deep end. But just to begin with, how do you have sex?
Oh, I don't know. Would you like me to give you a demonstration?
That's okay. That's okay. Have you seen any of my work or...
Oh, you're the Milky Pop Kid, right? I knew I recognized you from somewhere.
Well, I meant other things besides the Milky Pop Kid.
The jingle. You surely you still have the jingle.
I'm not gonna do the jingle. Milky Pops, Milky Pops. Every kid loves Milky Pops.
Yes.
I'm just trying to, you know, move past that.
Yeah, isn't it fun having things that we're trying to move past?
Exactly, you know, and I get stopped on the middle of the street and people want me to, you know, sign their Milky Pops and I'm like, you know, I'm a human being.
Nice to be recognized as a human being, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, getting stopped on the street all the time and like people giving you weird looks and things, you know all that?
I guess so, yeah.
The Milky Pop Kid was definitely a great launch for my career. I am a child of the method.
I'm so frustrated. I know that I could do a better job at this role than Craig ever could.
I'm just having trouble finding the disability inside of me.
I feel like a really good way to do that would be to take your shirt off.
Take my shirt off during the scene, or?
Well, let's try it now and see what happens.
So this is what it feels like to be disabled? Or?
Yeah.
Right. Something else that I was trying to figure out
Yeah.
is the voice. I just want to sound like I'm disabled.
Do you have anything you could, fill your mouth up with?
Put a couple in? Or?
Yeah. See what happens.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Oh, that's
Try a
good.
few more.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury.
Still not quite there.
More? Ladies and gentlemen of the jury.
Keep it going, keep it going. I was only playing with him. I just wanted to see how far he'd go with his method.
Dustin Hoffman in Rain Man. Daniel Day-Lewis in My Right Foot. You know, Julia Roberts and Erin Brockovich. As soon as I heard about the role, a lawyer who's also disabled, I thought, cha-ching!
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, today you are called upon to make an important decision. And whatever you decide, it will impact the course of someone's life forever. But first, I advise you to check your assumptions. I am here because I know what it feels like to be judged and dismissed on the basis of first impressions, to have your truth denied and not be taken seriously. I believe that everyone has a right to be heard, and I will fight for that right until my dying days.
Thank you, folks. There's so much to say here, and I'm happy to open this for as much of a conversation as possible and take your comments and thoughts. But just to start with a little bit, and Greer, please let me know when I'm running my last 5 minutes. I'm sure you'll keep me in line. But first of all, I love to start with the first line of this movie, which is, "I'm not here for your entertainment." He repeats that line twice. The movie is making this statement about the disability, about how disability is treated within culture. "I'm not here for your entertainment." It really takes apart, and I think in a very humorous way. Hopefully, you all got that was a mockumentary, not a real documentary. I should have said that off the bat. Um, and turns on its head really your classic casting opportunities, and it's from the beginning till the end, from her not being able to get up the stairs. That, by the way, really happens. I have seen casting calls for people who are wheelchair users who were done. The casting call was done at walk-ups with no access. Of course, there are many more examples of the lack of access that sometimes exists for people to just enter the industry. From the fact that sometimes people with disability are there just to be the advisors, as opposed to be taken as like, oh wait, I can actually be part of the creative process here. And often not paid is a real thing too, which she mentions here in this film. The film also dives into kind of some of the tropes that have been really troubling in Hollywood. He references, he's, by the way, a great character. I find it hysterical. How he says, "I'm a child of the method," and takes himself so seriously. And she has, by the way, all the control. She's getting him to take his shirt off. She is leading the whole situation and kind of messing around with him the whole time, which I think is also brilliant. Because often in film, the person with the disability does not have the control, like we saw in this film. But he brings up at one point in one of his monologues, he brings up Rain Man, which happens to be one of my favorite examples of bad filmmaking, and in terms of disability representation. Fabulous film in general, but in terms of disability representation, what Rain Man, I hope you're all familiar with Rain Man, Academy Award-winning film with Dustin Hoffman and Tom Cruise. What it really did to the autism community, that was the first big public space for people to learn about autism. And what they had there was somebody who was savant, somebody who was a really rare version of autism. And now since then, people think, oh, you have autism, you're probably really good at chess, or can count cards, or can tell me how many matches are in a matchbox, which is obviously not the case, and kind of denormalized autism. And autism's has been spending its time trying to make its way back to being normalized ever since then. Somebody in the Greer wrote, if you've met a person with autism, you've met one person with autism. Every autism experience is different. And Rain Man might even speak about one specific one, but that one happened to be the one in the, I guess, late 80s when it came out, or early 90s. It got all the attention, and really, for many, taught them what autism is, and it was really a misrepresentation. But Hollywood is filled with misrepresentations. First of all, there's rarely authenticity. When there's rarely research that's done. There's rarely representations of disability in a progressive way, where disability is just part of the story, where disability is normalized.
Isaac, did your audio go out, Isaac? Did anyone else lose Isaac's audio?
Nope, I can
that was
hear it
just
still.
me? Okay, never mind, ignore me.
Okay, I'm still here. Thank you, Greer. Thanks for checking. Hope you could hear me. But of course, Hollywood, often casts disability as either a hero or a villain, and in these, and not so much in the normality of disability life. So what we try to do at ReelAbilities is actually take these films, and we show films that, this one happens to be talking about the topic that we address through all of our films. We try to reframe, as I said, reframe disability, and put disability in, first of all, putting it in the spotlight, because it's rarely in the spotlight, and then actually showing disability like it's never been shown before, giving examples of disability that are actually more realistic, more responsible in terms of its both authenticity and in terms of like the research and the production that's gone into it. What's gone even further is like this movie. This movie's in first person. This movie was told, it's written by the woman who stars in it. And so it comes from within very clearly. It's somebody who had to have the disability experience in order to share this specific story here. And we look for films that are first person, that are authentic through and through. So we look for films that the filmmaking process included people with disabilities, and the storytelling and production itself is not only on high level, but is also authentic as well. And we manage to find every year dozens of films, actually too many films, that are both great movies and fit all the topics that we look for in a film. Authentically cast, authentically made, new representations that we've like disability like we've never seen it before, and still don't have enough room for all of our good films. So then we look for places to present them and really educate and change culture through these films. And hopefully this film was a great example about, I think this film is ultimately about creating that cultural change that is needed. And of course, short films are great for workspaces and schools because you could actually even have a conversation after them. We show features and feature-length films and shorts as well in every genre. So I will take a break for a moment, a breath, and allow you to be a part of this conversation. If anyone has any comments or thoughts, don't be shy. I don't know if I missed anything in the chat. I'm sorry if I wasn't following.
Nope, no
What's the
questions in
name
the
of
chat
it
yet,
again?
but feel free.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, what was the name of the Milky, what was the
The
rest of it?
Milky Pop Kid.
Thank you.
So I'll share a little bit more as you guys think of your questions or get over the shyness. I'll just share a little bit more about other things that ReelAbilities has been doing to make these films accessible. So first of all, we create accessibility as an accessibility festival. We raise the bar. Every film has captions and audio description. We have a streaming site that's connected to our main site, reelabilities.org/stream. And on our streaming site, we are just about next week, we're adding a new widget that will revolutionize viewing. It allows, and it's mostly designed for, I'd say, people on the autism spectrum or neurodivergent, but really can serve, as we know, anyone. And it allows you to shape your screen, what you're watching, in ways that are comfortable for you. So you can, if you prefer watching things as an animation, you could turn it into animation. If you want to change the coloring because the contrast is uncomfortable for you, you can control it all through a widget, and hopefully this is something that will grow, because right now it will only be available on the ReelAbilities streaming site. I mentioned our educational program and our workplace program. We work with a lot of HR representatives to bring and help start disability programs within the workplace, sometimes as training, but sometimes as for part of the employee resource group, and allowing them to have a way to connect and spend a moment with some great entertaining and educational films. So we do those as well. We also have an industry summit where we really talk deeply about the film industry and the arts and performing arts industry in general. So during our festival in New York, we hold 2 days where we dive into accessibility within the arts and try to change perceptions there and raise awareness and really highlight some of the great work that's being done out there. Much more, we're a year-round program, not just at our festivals, and continue to screen films year-round, support films in their filmmaking process. And most importantly, try to get films out there. Please help spread the word. That's our biggest call to action, is getting people to spread the word about not being afraid to see disability films, knowing that disability films can be not what you expected. And I think for ReelAbilities, that goes across the bar. We kind of look for films that are not what you expected and not what you would think would be shown at a disability film festival. And touch on every genre, as I mentioned, as many kinds of disabilities as possible, and really put together a diverse program. So a question in the chat: how did I get started with the ReelAbilities? What is the history? I'm one of the co-founders. I'm a big believer that film is a form of education, as I've noted. And I was running the film center at the JCC in Manhattan. And we were looking for films to show. And I showed, as part of our weekly series, I showed some disability films. And I saw that everybody was afraid to show these films, and that they were films that really weren't being shown in other places and were really great. And after a while, films and enough of these films, you show one film, people start sending you other ones that fit into that genre. And I suddenly saw on my desk that I have a whole stack that can really make a great festival. I myself am neurodivergent and grew up with learning disabilities and ADHD, and yet it was coming from a place of, it wasn't coming from there. I hadn't actually owned that part of my identity quite yet. It was thanks to ReelAbilities and running the festival that I really dove deeper into the disability community, and proud to be a member, and to understand it from within and represent it from within. And the festival very quickly took off, and one of the key components of our festival is partnerships. We started it. My co-founder is a woman who was working with a network of disability organizations, and we started it with these disability organizations to really make it for them. Here's what is important to you. What do you want to see out there? How do you want to see representation? And that's how we built it. And it's grown and changed a lot over the years, but I think that core remains the same in many ways, and what we were looking for also remains the same. So I think we were onto something from the beginning. I see another question here. What are some things you're doing to keep the festival accessible for participants? I just back from the Austin Film Festival, and the pals and I are once again talking about the myriad of ways the festival is not accessible for all folks. Oh my God, tell me about it. I mean, it's really every film festival out there, even the ones that are trying, and we work with so many of them to really, we're the go-to for, you want to make your film festival more accessible, and everybody does these days. They come to us, and unfortunately, I'm not seeing enough change in a lot of the festivals that I'm familiar with. So what we do, as I mentioned, all of our films, 100% of our films, you don't have to ask if this film is going to have audio description or going to have captions. We show it with open captions. The audio description is available to all. We have sensory friendly rooms. We do sensory friendly screenings. We of course look for we look for spaces. That's what one person asked here. What is our connection to the JCC? The JCC here in Manhattan has one of the few, if only, theaters in New York City that presents high quality screening capabilities, meaning you feel like you're in a movie theater of the highest quality. And at the same time has accessibility. So the building is universally designed. Everybody comes in the same way and takes the elevators down together. There's no, you have to go in the back way for an accessible entrance. And then the theater itself, we have there at times, for many of our screenings, over 40 wheelchair users. And to have that level of accessibility, you can't find that. I've looked at every movie theater out there, and they'll be like, two, maybe, and a really big one, they'll have 5 wheelchair seats, and that's also rare. And we need more than that. One of the beautiful things that's come out of the festival over the years is that we've built a community. That wasn't, at first we were just about bridging gaps between the disability community and the mainstream community, and really bringing both communities together. But what's also happened is that the disability community has seen this as one of the cornerstones throughout the year where this community, especially those who are interested in movies and the arts, get together. And I mean, we do some screenings. We did a screening of a film from Sundance called Deaf President Now, and I'd say more than 75% of the audience was deaf. It was the home screening for this film. This was like, oh, now you're playing for your audience. So I hope that answers a little bit. I also saw a question about why is ReelAbilities connected to the JCC? So I mentioned that. The JCC is also where the festival was founded. So for our first 16 years, we were part of the JCC in Manhattan. The last 2 years, we've become completely independent. We are now our own 501c3 nonprofit and have become more independent. We do screen in other locations outside of the JCC, but I am going to admit this is our number, accessibility wise, this is our number one screening room. Probably also quality wise, to be honest. Any other questions? More films. Where you can, first of all, to learn more, please check out ReelAbilities.org. The URL has been put in the chat. You could check out all of our programs there, all the different cities we present in, and of course our international program, which brings ReelAbilities pretty much everywhere. We have our streaming site, of course, and the educational program that I mentioned that are also ways to see more films and to dive in deeper. We are always happy to bring ReelAbilities to wherever. For us, it's about getting these films out there to the communities and to impact them as deeply as possible. Can you share ways we can support if we are not in New York or can't access live screenings? So as mentioned, yes, we're in a dozen other cities across the US. You can start your own. You can bring it to your workplace. You could bring it to other workplaces, schools. We also do a program called the Taste of ReelAbilities, which is kind of like you're not taking on a full festival, but actually just bringing in a taste of the films. Most of our films, unfortunately, there's like a couple of disability films every year that get picked up for distribution. Most of them do not. So we are the ones that are we feel responsible to these films to get them out there, and we try to elevate them as much as possible and get them as many eyeballs as possible. I'm proud to say that even through our workplace programs, we've worked with some of the largest companies out there. So like, Walmart has shown our films, and major banks have shown our films, and they're reaching their staff, which are hundreds of thousands, if not millions, which is amazing to get so many people to actually see these films and see this kind of representation that, like the film that you saw today, is really not the way disability is usually shown. Reaching out, info@reelabilities.org is we put that in the chat as well, and you can definitely reach out to us for anything. We are happy to continue the conversation, big or small. Happy to bring you in and connect with you further. We would love to hear more. And tomorrow, yes, tomorrow there is another ReelAbilities screening as part of this program here at RethinkAbility. So check that one out. We also have a film we have 17 years of past films. We're working on our 18th year now. And we have a film pretty much on every topic you can imagine, intersectionality on every level. So please check them. Check us out for more. We actually have on our website also an archive of all of our past films, so you can get a taste of what topics we've covered. And of course, we're happy to work with you as well to find the right film for you or films. Yes, and tomorrow my colleague Ravitu is here and posting all these helpful posts in the chat. She'll be leading the session tomorrow. So please compare. We're very competitive, and I will take your votes and let us know which session is better. That was a joke.
Well, I mean, it's recorded, so now we have to do that. Well, Isaac, thank you so much for joining us, for sharing this story, for sharing that video. I think even how short it was, it's so impactful to really understand how do people who are disabled, who live with disabilities, actually get treated in the film industry. I don't think it's stuff that we think about. So, really appreciate your perspective here. We're going to go ahead and take another quick little break. We'll be back in 20 minutes. And so, Isaac, thank you. And we look forward to seeing your next video tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.